says it's 7 o'clock, so we'll get started. If you would, please, ladies and gentlemen, stand and join us with our invocation and pledge.
Lord, please be with those families involved in the horrible incidents across the world and help them grieve and get through these tough times. Please bless our first responders across the country and our military serving to make this a great place to live. Please bless us tonight as we make decisions for the betterment of our community. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Doherty. Councilmember Dumont. Here. Councilmember Golding. Here. Councilmember Hoffman. Here. Councilmember Nichols.
Here.
Councilmember Vogelsang.
Here.
Mayor Latham.
Here. And agenda item 19037, please.
I move that we approve the minutes for the council briefing held March 4th, 2019.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion from the council? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? By your action, motion carries. 38.
I move that we approve the regular council meeting minutes held March 4th, 2019.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion from council? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? By your action, motion carries. Announcements. Any announcements today? Okay. No announcements today. We're moving on then to courtesy of the floor. Got a few cards that are not tied to agenda items, and we're starting first with Donnie Welch. Ms. Welch, if you come forward, give us your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Donnie Welch at 403 12th Avenue South. And I pretty much am here every month at this point, just wanting to continue to bring everyone's attention to the problems with the construction, the stormwater drainage construction project. And I don't think last month I made it as clear, maybe for any council members that are new. My property is at the corner of 12th Avenue South and 4th Street. So I have the construction project going on both sides. And for those of you who may have driven by, you can see the issues. So 2 things that I wanted to bring to your attention. One is that there is, at this point, some paving going on 4th Street now, which is great. Actually, something appears to be happening, so that's great. But there are a lot of skateboarders. It has attracted a lot of skateboarders. Sarah, who has addressed the council several times now, got with Jim, the supervisor, and he said he would check into it. So just something for you to keep in mind, because that pavement is just laid down. So it appears that there certainly could be some issues. Plus, with the new design, if they're on, I don't know how to describe it, not the street part, but the side, there could be, I would think, some safety issues. Just see, it still shows 3 minutes on the time.
Oh.
So I don't know how much more time I have, but you guys don't want to leave it at 3 for me. I'm quite sure. The other issue that I wanted to bring to your attention, and I did send this in an email to Ms. May, the Assistant City Attorney, so I have sent that to her on Thursday, so she'll be aware of it. But someone happened to be home in the middle of the day, and basically, apparently they were doing compacting on 4th Street, and the entire house was shaking to the foundation. We already have cracks in the house because of the construction already. So with this, I didn't see any obvious new cracks in addition to the ones that have already happened because of the construction. But I would be surprised if not. This was the worst shaking that there has been. So Sarah went out and found Jim and talked to him, and number one, there was no ground sensor there that they're supposed to have, a ground sensor. There was no ground sensor. They were compacting, but they had an additional mode on that Jim said should not have been on, period. So two problems because of that. It seems a little strange that this happened when it just so happened someone was at home. I don't want to get paranoid, though I have to say it's easy to get paranoid at this point with all of this going on since May. But definitely problems if they are not following the rules and regulations that they should follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wells. William, is it Ally or Alex? I can't tell.
Haley.
Haley. William Haley, if you come forward, sir, please give us your name, address. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is William or Bill Haley. I live at 805 16th Avenue North. And I just wanted to address the council about some issues I've noticed over the last couple of years, particularly this year at Mike McHugh Park and Boat Ramp, the one by Beach Marine, particularly with the ability for residents and locals here to access the waterway. A lot of things are going on. The community is growing. We have a wonderful restaurant that's thriving there. And personally, myself, I live a half a mile away. I don't use the boat ramp because it's not usable. There's no parking. I've tried to use it in the last few weeks. My wife and son, we have a boat. We love to access the waterway. But what we ran into is people, the parking lot's full, and the reason I'm here, what pushed me over the limit, is the parking lot's full of people who are visiting the restaurant, double parking in boat and trailer spots. And because of this, people with boats and trailers are parking down the road on 2nd Avenue North, and guess who's getting tickets? Boats and trailers parked on the side of the road. So I've spoken with my councilperson, Mrs. Golding, a little bit about this. But it's a serious problem, and something needs to be done about this. This is the only intracoastal waterway access in Jacksonville Beach. The next one south is Palm Valley, 50 miles. The next one north is in Mayport. And I think there's solutions, and if it's okay, I would love to provide some information. I happen to be in the coastal and waterfront engineering world, so I'm privy to the value of the waterway. I have some information on the billions of dollars in revenue that comes to Duval County from being able to access the waterway. Thousands of jobs are a result of accessing the waterway. $300 billion in personal income to access the waterway. So there's no reason to not address the problem. I also believe there's solutions. And I don't pretend to know anything about the history of what may have been looked into or done to this problem. But I'd like to point out to the council that there's the Florida Inland Navigation District, the state taxing district. We all pay taxes here, and you have a little line on your tax that says FIND. It might be $6 or $7, but that is a fund to ensure access to the intracoastal waterway. I've got a sheet here that I provided to my council lady, and I'll be happy to provide to anybody about the benefits, the dollars. And then beyond that, a grant program that's offered by the Florida Inland Navigation District. There's pages and pages of years and years of grants that have been given to the city of Jacksonville, which is not even on the Intracoastal Waterway, and to Atlantic Beach. Out of $18 million in grant money given out over the years, the city of Jacksonville Beach has received $300,000. Explain that to me, I don't know. But there's a piece of property, there's a lot of opportunity, and there's free money to be had to help the problem. My time is up. I would go on all night, but it's very near and dear to me. And the situation of just trying to park there and use the boat ramp is so frustrating that I don't even go there. I go to Palm Valley and I go to Mayport.
We're going to implement a new procedure today, and after we finish the regular agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about the issues that are brought up by you folks today. But I will tell you just briefly that, we looked at buying all that property over there and weren't able, because you can't make parking where there's not places to put it. And that's been kind of in discussion with the current owner, and the pricing was pretty tight. And So, I mean, we're aware of it, and we're doing our best to find a way for a long-term
If
solution.
there was an opportunity to discuss with someone offline or at a different time, I would love to give you my thoughts. Like I said, I'm in the coastal and environmental engineering world. I know there's space there, and I know the parcel is 80-something acres. I believe there's opportunities for the city to make money off of that through creating a mitigation banking program. There's opportunities to get more grant money for years and years to come, and there's no reason that we shouldn't be doing this. And the last thing I'll say is that the city of Jacksonville has an entire committee formed around chasing these grants from the Florida Inland Navigation District. They're not even on the Intracoastal Waterway, and they've received millions and millions of dollars for accessing the Intracoastal Waterway. There's no reason that the city of Jacksonville Beach shouldn't be addressing these funds.
Okay, thank you, sir, appreciate
Thank
it. Next, William Huff. William, if you come forward and give us your name and address, you'll have 3 minutes, sir.
William Huff, 1205 14th Street North, and Bill just took all the wind out of my sails because that's exactly what I was here for. I've had it up to here with the same issue. Woe to anybody who has a Saturday morning soccer game before they want to go out on the boat here in Jacksonville Beach. God forbid you want to go to church on Sunday and then go out on the boat. There's no parking. You can't do it. I'm luckily close enough, and it's a pain in the butt, but I've learned to drop my boat off, leave my family there in the boat for 15 minutes while I go home, park my trailer at the house, drive back, and try to find parking, but typically I can't find parking. The second part is the biggest part of Safe Harbor. This parking is completely unpoliced. I've called the non-emergency police line probably at least 5 times as I watch Safe Harbor employees and patrons park not only in the boat ramp parking, in the 8 spots that are there available for regular cars that are just accessing the boat ramp or their kayaks or whatnot. But not only they'll go past it, they'll go to the 8 spot, they'll go 9, they'll go 10 over to the point where trailers can't even get out of the little L shape as it goes down by the water because they've just completely parked over, and nobody goes and polices this. On a Saturday and Sunday to not have this illegal parking not policed is like adds fuel to the fire. So I'm not nearly as well prepared as he was. I was coming just to even ask, I didn't know if this was a well-trodden dead issue or I've just never heard anything discussed. And the amount of an issue it is for a water community and boaters like us that have to deal with this. And quite frankly, yeah, there's times I don't even want to go. If it gets past, game goes on past 10, 11 o'clock, I tell the family we're not even going boating. And that's a shame. And I believe there should be ways. And just the fact that you can't even park along the road anymore, there's got to be some opportunities. And my question was more is this even an issue? Because if it's not an issue that's being actively realized by this water boating community, and you see all the boats you drive around Jackson Beach, everybody's, not everybody, but a lot of people have boats, and you can't put 5% of them there in the boat ramp, and it's a shame. So, Bill, I applaud you for coming up with a lot of the information, but it was just kind of funny that I was at the same exact issue following you behind, and I just had it up to here after having a boat for 9 years and slowly being able to do less and less to be able to access my own boat ramp that I'm 5 minutes away from. It's a shame.
Okay, points are well taken, thank you, sir, appreciate it. Ken Marsh, Ken, if you come forward, give us your name and address, you'll have 3 minutes, sir.
Sure. Ken Marsh, 2011 Gale Avenue. After the joint CRA council meeting there in February, I was inspired to write a little short picture story. Lori's going to pass this down. In the story, if you will, if you'll imagine a Margaritaville hotel guest like myself who wakes up in the morning, kind of like the morning we had today, and goes on a quest for coffee and breakfast and checks out our downtown. He starts out of the hotel and he ventures south out of the hotel and goes south on 1st Street. The first thing he goes to is the 6th Avenue North sign, and he sees that sign and he says, hey, I must be going in the right direction because the sign says shops and restaurants. Oh, and by the way, what happened to the bottom of that sign? Moving on south, he goes to the pier area. He sees the pier sign. He says, my gosh, this looks like this sign needs some loving, or at very least, a power washing. But he glances over at the bed there at V Pizza and says, I wonder if weed beds, is the look the city's going for. Continuing south on 1st Street, glances towards the sign on the beach and says, I would love to comply if only I knew what it says. On the corner where Shim Sham is, I look to my left, and there's an area there that looks kind of creepy, so I'm not going to go that way. So I'll look the other way. It looks dark, and it looks creepy too. But I go that way, and I continue south. I get out of the darkness, and I look onto the street, and I ask myself, I wonder how the nice pavers got so oily. And then I look at the bedding, and I say, gosh, we've got red mulch, they've got red mulch, they've got dark rubber mulch. I thought that they were going with the weed beds. There must be shops and restaurants somewhere. Who can I talk to in order to get directions to the coffee shop? Maybe I can ask this homeless person. Oh, and I see a light. I say to myself, well, I guess the duct tape can repair just about everything. Continuing south, I see more oil on the pavers. And I say, gosh, that seems like a lot of money was wasted to get oil on these pavers. And then arriving Latham Plaza, looking at the surfer guy, I say, gosh, his back looks like the rest of the downtown. If only he could tell me how to get to the shops and restaurants. The end. There's two things that I want to say about this story. Two true things. One is clearly this story is not a literary masterpiece. The second thing is that this is nonfiction. These pics were taken this morning as I walked from Margaritaville south through downtown, including the homeless person. Okay, that's what our downtown looks like. I hear Margaritaville Hotel will take care of the problems here in downtown, and Element Hotel will take care of the problems. These are maintenance, these are infrastructure issues that it is up to us, all of us, up to you to fix. We have about 2 years before Margaritaville Hotel is going to be built. So are we going to wait until they get built before this gets fixed? If not, I'll be walking out of Margaritaville Hotel as a guest, and this will be the story that I'll be seeing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's it for the speaker cards not tied to an agenda item, so we're moving on to agenda item 9. Pardon me? Gerhard, you want to come forward and give us your name and address? You'll have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. I just want to bring to you a quick issue that I've seen throughout the city. At most of the intersections, and I'll use 9th Street South as an example, at most of the intersections where you have the handicapped ramps, there's a tactile pad that's at the bottom of those ramps. It's, in many cases, a black pad. In some cases, it's yellow where it's been recently replaced. That tactile pad is missing in a lot of locations, is loose in others, and has buckled and deteriorated in just about all of the locations to the point where it's a tripping hazard for the handicapped as well as for the elderly that may be using those sidewalks. I think it's something the city needs to address before it becomes a liability issue for us. And I'd also like the city to take a look at some of the end zones. There are a number of end zones that the city has to the north and also to the south where the pavement is in real poor condition, as well as signage and pavement marking being very poor to the point where people can't really understand where they can park, where they can't park, what the limitations are, and so forth. So I think those end zones really need to be looked at. Will make it a lot easier for our law enforcement folks as they go through there and try to address the parking issues with the different individuals that park there. But thank you.
Gerhard, if you would just state your name and address for the record.
I apologize.
That's okay.
My name is Gerhard Paytown, 725 Bon Air Circle, Jacks Beach.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, that now concludes cards for non-agenda items. We're moving on to agenda item 19. 39, please.
I move that we accept the monthly financial reports for the month of February 2019.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll. Ms. Demott.
Thank you. I just had a couple questions. One was on Exhibit 2. The city administration, the deviation in that one. Did I check that one off? And then the building maintenance. In other words, we're not spending enough on our building maintenance. We budgeted a certain amount. We're very far behind on maintaining our buildings according to this. Is there a last minute push or contracts?
So I'm Ashley Gossett, the Assistant Finance and Budget Officer. To answer your question first with the building maintenance, they move in priority order, and so there might be some fluctuations from month to month about what we're spending. And the building maintenance that you're seeing in the general fund, those are our city hall buildings, our police buildings, and our fire buildings. And so they have kind of an annual operating program of maintenance, and then they have projects that come up. So for the under budget, in terms of the 28% under budget for this year, it's just a matter of timing, because this is cash basis reporting.
Okay.
To your other question about city administration is ahead of the budget. What's in city administration is attorney's fees, and so those are running a little ahead this year.
Okay, and we did the non-income conference last month as well. And then in Exhibit 6, convention development tax, Starlo would say it's very low.
So what we budget in convention development tax are our city-sponsored events, and those are seasonal. So we're entering the
So
season.
it's a scheduling issue.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Dumont,
Yes.
Councilmember Golding,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogel,